Captain Elias Ward was a man who loved silence. He had spent years traveling the stars, moving from one forgotten system to another, always looking for worlds that no one had yet touched. To him, silence meant discovery. It meant standing in places where no human footsteps had ever fallen. His small exploration ship, the Horizon's Wake, had entered orbit around an uncharted world 2 days ago. From space, the planet looked calm, covered in green forests and silver rivers that caught the sunlight. It was the kind of place humanity's colonists would someday want. But to Elias, it was more than a potential colony. It was a mystery waiting to be solved. He landed his shuttle near a valley where strange stone structures jutted out from the earth. They were tall, jagged towers, some broken, some leaning, but all carved with designs that no human eye had seen before. It was clear that this world had once been home to a civilization. Whether that civilization still lived was a question Elias wanted answered. With his helmet sealed and rifle strapped to his back for safety, he stepped into the ruins. The air outside was breathable, though filled with a faint metallic tang. Moss and creeping vines had covered most of the stone, but when Elias brushed them aside, he could see markings, symbols etched deep, repeating patterns that suggested both language and art. As he walked deeper, the ruins became quieter. The wind died down, and the forest outside seemed to fall away. The place felt heavy, like it remembered sorrow. Elias slowed his steps. His instincts told him he was not alone. First, he thought it was only shadows playing tricks. Then he heard it, soft, broken sobs. A sound so raw, so filled with pain, that it made his chest tighten. He followed the sound around a collapsed wall, his hand resting on his weapon but not raising it yet. That was when he saw her. A figure sat slumped against a cracked pillar. She was unlike anyone he had ever seen. Her skin was pale, faintly silver under the dim sunlight, and her hair, long, dark, tangled, shimmered as if strands of light were trapped inside it. She was clearly humanoid, her shape familiar enough, yet her eyes, when they lifted to his, glowed faintly with a hue that was not natural to any human. For a moment, both froze. Elias stared, unsure if she was real or a hallucination from fatigue. The woman blinked once, then her expression broke. She stumbled forward and fell against him, her arms wrapping around his chest with desperate strength. Elias stiffened. "What the? Hey, easy!" But she didn't let go. Her whole body shook as sobs tore out of her throat. He felt the hot press of her tears through his suit, and her words came fast, too fast for his translator to catch. Still, the device at his wrist tried. Her voice, broken and filled with terror, repeated fragments. "Help! Please don't leave!" Elias didn't know what to do. He had never trained for this. His missions were about scanning, recording, reporting, not holding a weeping alien woman who clung to him like he was her last hope. He tried gently pulling her back, but she only clutched him tighter. Her nails dug into his suit fabric. Her sobs rose louder, as if she feared he would vanish if she let go. All right, he muttered, lowering his rifle. "I'm not leaving you, just calm down." He eased her down against a wall, trying to look at her face. She was young, though her eyes carried the weight of ages. Her lips trembled as she tried to speak slower. The translator processed more. Words this time. Hunters. Coming. Soon. Elias frowned. Hunters? He looked around the ruins. Nothing but silence. Yet her fear was so strong that his own instincts stirred. "Who's coming?" he asked firmly. She pressed her hands to her chest, breathing hard. Then she reached for his wrist, tapping the translator device as though trying to make it work. Faster. She spoke again, each word like a plea. "They take my people. Kill all. Please help." Her words sent a chill down Elias's spine. This was no random meeting. Whoever she was, whatever had happened here, it was far bigger than a simple survey mission. He tried to think clearly. Protocol said he should not interfere. Humanity had strict rules. Observe alien civilizations, but do not interfere unless absolutely necessary. But looking at her face streaked with tears, her body trembling as if she had carried fear for too long, those rules felt cold and empty. "All right," he said slowly. "I'll help, but you have to tell me more." At that, her eyes widened. A small broken smile touched her lips, and for the first time he saw hope flicker there. She nodded quickly, though more tears spilled. She pressed her forehead against his chest again, whispering in her language, words the translator didn't catch but which Elias somehow understood. She was thanking him. Before he could ask more, the ground shook. A low tremor, faint but steady, rippled through the stones. Elias froze. Dust fell from the ruined pillars. The alien woman stiffened in his arms, her entire body going rigid. Her glowing eyes widened with terror. She whispered one word, clear. Even without the translator, "They're here!" Elias tightened his grip on his rifle, heart pounding. He had come to this world expecting ruins and silence. Instead, he had found a weeping alien woman and a warning of something far worse. And as the tremors grew stronger, he knew this was no ordinary mission anymore. This was the beginning of something far larger than he had ever imagined. The ground shook again, harder this time. Dust rained from the ancient stones, and cracks spread across the ruined walls. Captain Elias Ward kept one arm steadying the alien woman while the other tightened around his rifle. His mind raced. Who were they? Who hunted her? The woman's trembling hand pointed toward the horizon, past the ruined towers. Her glowing eyes widened, and she whispered, "Hunters." Elias strained his ears. At first he heard nothing but the groan of shifting stone. Then it came, a faint hum in the air. Not natural, not wind. Machines, engines. Elias swore under his breath. The alien woman, Scifi, she would later tell him, pulled on his arm. Her voice cracked as the translator tried to keep up. "Hide. They find us." Elias hesitated. His instincts told him to retreat to his shuttle and escape. But another part of him, the part that had listened to her sobs and seen, the raw terror in her eyes, told him that running was not an option. "All right," he said, his voice low. "Show me where." She pulled him deeper into the ruins, weaving through broken archways and narrow passages covered in roots and vines. Despite her fear, she seemed to know the place well. Her steps were quick, practiced, as if she had walked these paths many times. They reached a hidden chamber beneath a collapsed dome. Inside, faint blue light glowed from crystal-like stones embedded in the walls. The air was cooler here, carrying the scent of old earth and something metallic, almost like blood. Elias guided Scifi to sit against the wall. She hugged her knees to her chest, still shaking. He crouched before her. "Listen, who are they? Who are these hunters?" Scifi lifted her head slowly. Her voice was soft but heavy with sorrow. Creel Dominion. The name meant nothing to Elias. His brow furrowed. "Never heard of them." "They take worlds," she whispered. "Take people. Use them. Slaves. Experiments. My people. All gone." Her voice broke on the last word. She pressed her hands over her face, muffling a sob. Elias clenched his jaw. He had seen cruelty before. Humanity had fought wars of its own, long before it reached the stars. But hearing it from her lips, seeing the way her body shook, it struck something inside him. "You're saying they destroyed your whole world?" he asked carefully. She nodded. "I am last." The weight of those words sank into him. The last of her kind, alone, hunted, with only memories left of a civilization that had once stood tall. And now she clung to him, a stranger, because she had no one else. Elias exhaled slowly. All right, if they're here, then they're looking for you. But why? If your people are gone, why do they want you? Her glowing eyes met his. I know things, secrets. They want what I carry. What kind of secrets? Sarai hesitated. Her lips parted, then closed again. Her fingers dug into her arms. Finally, she whispered, Old defenses, power buried under this world. My people built them long ago. Creel want it. Elias leaned back, stunned. He had thought these ruins were abandoned relics, but if she spoke the truth, then beneath the cracked stones and vines lay something far more dangerous, something the hunters would kill for. He rubbed his temples. So let me get this straight. You're telling me you're not just the last survivor. You're the key to some kind of ancient weapon buried here. She lowered her gaze. Yes. The hum outside grew louder. Shadows passed over the cracks in the ceiling. Elias tensed. Drops of dust fell again as a deep vibration shook the chamber. They hear, Sarai whispered, curling tighter into herself. Elias rose to his feet, his rifle ready. His ship's sensors had warned of no large fleets nearby, which meant the Creel had likely arrived in small strike craft. That made sense. They wanted her alive, not the planet burned. He turned back to Sarai. If they're after you, then I can't just hand you over. But I also can't fight an army with just a rifle. She looked up, desperation in her eyes. Leave me. Save yourself. Elias barked a short laugh, shaking his head. Not happening. Her lips parted in surprise. Why? He paused. Why indeed? He didn't owe her anything. He could leave right now, take off in his shuttle, and no one would ever know. But as he looked at her, the tears streaking her silver skin, the hopeless way she tried to push him away, it hit him, because she had no one else. And because humanity had once been the underdog too, long before it learned to fight back. He crouched, again meeting her gaze. Because I don't walk away from people who need help. Not when I can do something about it. Her lips trembled. For a moment, no words came. Then, in the softest voice, she whispered, Thank you. The hum outside became a roar. A deep metallic voice echoed through the ruins, amplified by speakers. Sarai of Thalen, you cannot run. Surrender now, and you will be spared. The translator hissed the words into Elias's ear. He glanced at Sarai. She shook her head violently. Lie, she hissed. They never spare. Elias nodded grimly. He looked around the chamber, searching for options. His eyes landed on the glowing stones in the walls. They pulsed faintly, like a heartbeat. What are those? He asked. Sarai wiped her tears and glanced at them. Memory stones, my people's knowledge. Power sleeps here. Elias tightened, his grip on his rifle. Then it's time we wake it up. Before she could answer, a blast rocked the ruins. The ceiling cracked and daylight spilled through as pieces of stone collapsed. Through the dust, Elias saw dark shapes descending, tall, armored figures, their eyes burning red beneath helmets. The Creel had arrived. Sarai screamed, pressing against the wall. Elias stepped in front of her, rifle raised. His heart hammered, but his hands were steady. The lead Creel soldier pointed a long weapon at him. His voice boomed. Human, step aside. She belongs to us. Elias narrowed his eyes. Not today. The soldier tilted his head. You protect her? You will die for her? Maybe, Elias said, but I'll make sure some of you come with me. The Creel laughed, a harsh metallic sound. Foolish human, you stand in the path of the Dominion. But before they could fire, the stones in the wall flared brighter. A deep hum filled the chamber, shaking the air. Sarai's eyes widened, glowing brighter than before. "The ruins. They hear us," she whispered. The Creel hesitated, glancing around. Elias smirked. "Looks like your dominion isn't as welcome here as you thought." The chamber shook as the glowing stones in the walls came alive. Blue light pulsed through the ruins like veins of fire waking after centuries of silence. Dust swirled, and the hum grew into a deep vibration that rattled Elias's teeth. The Creel. Soldiers froze, their glowing red visors flickering in the strange light. Even through their heavy armor, Elias could see their hesitation. They had not expected this. Behind him, Sarai pressed against the wall, her hands trembling but her eyes glowing brighter with each pulse of the stones. "They answer," she whispered, voice quivering. "The memory of my people. They still live here." The lead Creel soldier barked a command in his harsh, guttural language. Two of the armored figures raised their weapons toward Elias. "Last warning, human," the leader growled, his voice booming through a translator device. "Move aside. She belongs to the Dominion." Elias raised his rifle higher, his jaw tight. "Not happening." The soldier's visor flared red. He raised a clawed hand. "Kill him! Take her alive!" The chamber erupted. Elias dove to the side as plasma bolts slammed into the stone where he had stood. He rolled, came up on one knee, and fired 3 quick shots. One Creel dropped, its chest armor sparking, while the others advanced without fear. The ruins themselves seemed to respond. The glowing stones flared brighter, sending streams of light along the cracks in the floor. Strange symbols lit up, carved into the walls by hands long gone. Sarai cried out, her voice echoing through the chamber in a language Elias couldn't understand. The stones pulsed with her cry, and suddenly a shockwave of energy burst outward. The Creel stumbled back, their weapons flickering. Elias shielded his eyes from the flash. "What the hell was that?" he muttered. Sarai's voice shook, but there was strength in it now. "My people's defenses, they know me," the lead Creel snarled. "Enough! Take them both!" More. Soldiers poured through the broken ceiling, landing heavily on the stone floor. Elias gritted his teeth. Too many. He couldn't win this fight. Not alone. "Sarai!" he shouted. "Is there any way out of here?" She shook her head quickly. "No, only deeper. But deeper is dangerous. Dangerous sounds better than dead. Move!" He fired another burst, dropping a second Creel, then pulled Sarai by the arm. Together they sprinted down a narrow passage glowing faintly with the same blue light. Plasma blasts scorched the walls behind them, filling the air with smoke and the stench of burned stone. The passage twisted downwards, leading into a vast hall buried beneath the ruins. The ceiling arched high above them, supported by enormous pillars carved with glowing runes. At the far end, a giant structure sat, half machine, half crystal, humming with power. Sarai stopped, her breath catching. Tears filled her eyes again, but this time they were not of sorrow. This is the heart," she whispered. "The last hope of my people." Elias looked at the towering machine. It radiated energy, ancient and alien, yet alive. He felt the hair on his arms rise, as if the air itself vibrated with power. The Creel were close behind. Their heavy footsteps echoed through the passage, their voices snarling commands. Elias could already see the red glow of their visors approaching. He turned to Sarai. "What does it do?" Her glowing eyes fixed on his. "It can destroy the Creel, drive them away. But it needs a key." "What kind of key?" She pressed a hand to her chest. "Me." Elias's stomach twisted. "Wait, you're saying if you activate it, they'll stop. But it'll cost you?" She looked down. Her voice was soft. "Yes, my life will end. But the heart will awaken, and my people's promise will be fulfilled." "No," Elias snapped. "Not an option." Her eyes widened. You don't understand. If they take the heart, all will be lost. Not just me, not just this world, many others. They will use it to conquer the galaxy. The Creel soldiers spilled into the hall, weapons raised. Their leader's voice thundered. Enough running! Hand her over! Elias raised his rifle, standing in front of Sarai again. His chest burned with anger. You're not touching her. The Creel aimed their weapons. Sarai suddenly stepped forward, her hands glowing faintly with the same light as the heart. She spoke in her ancient language, and the machine responded. Symbols flared across its surface. A deep rumble shook the hall. The lead Creel roared. Stop her! They fired. Elias acted on instinct. He dove in front of Sarai, blasting away at the Creel as energy bolts scorched past him. One clipped his shoulder, spinning him to the side, but he forced himself up again. Sarai cried out and pressed both palms against the heart. Blue light spread from her hands, racing across the machine. The Creel staggered as a wave of energy burst outward. Their weapons sparked uselessly, their armor flickering. The heart's hum grew into a roar, like the sound of 1,000 voices rising in unison. Elias dragged Sarai back, yelling over the thunderous noise. You'll kill yourself! She shook her head fiercely, tears streaming down her glowing face. This is my duty. My people swore long ago. We fought beside humans once when the galaxy was younger. We made a promise. If we fell, we would leave behind the heart, and humans would return to help us rise again. Elias froze. Her words hit him harder than any weapon could. Humans promised? Long ago? His throat went dry. That's why you clung to me. That's why you cried. You knew us. Her voice broke. Yes, I thought you would never come, but you did. You came. The heart roared, light flooding the hall like fire. The Creel screamed as the energy burst outward, throwing them back. Their leader fought against it, claws digging into the stone, but even his armor began to crack. Elias pulled Sarai back, but her body was shaking violently now. The energy was tearing through her, draining her life. Stop, he shouted. You don't have to do this alone. She smiled weakly at him, her face pale. Then help me. Without thinking, Elias pressed his hand against the heart beside hers. The machine flared brighter, almost blinding. A surge of power shot through, him searing his nerves like fire, but he held on. He gritted his teeth, refusing to let go. The heart responded. The light stabilized, focusing into a beam that blasted outward through the hall. The Creel were thrown screaming into the air, their armor shattering. One by one, they fell, their bodies lifeless on the stone floor. The leader roared one last time before the beam struck him full force, tearing through his armor and sending him crashing into the pillars. When the light faded, nothing remained but smoking fragments. Silence. Elias collapsed to his knees, panting, his body trembling from the energy still burning in his veins. The hall was filled with the smell of scorched metal and the faint hum of the heart calming once more. Beside him, Sarai slumped forward, her body weak. Elias caught her before she fell. Her eyes fluttered open, glowing faintly. She smiled, tears on her cheeks. Together, it worked. Elias held her tight, his chest heaving. You're not dying. Not while I'm here. She leaned against him, her voice a whisper. You don't understand. The heart, it took much from me. But with you, maybe I can survive. Elias swallowed, hard, his arms tightening around her. Then I'm not letting you go. Not to them, not to anyone. The ruins around them glowed softly, the light no longer violent, but gentle, like a promise fulfilled. For the first time in years, Sarai's tears were not only of sorrow, they were of hope. But Elias knew the fight wasn't over. The Creel Dominion would not stop with one failed strike. They would return stronger than before. The ruins were quiet now. The pulsing blue light of the heart dimmed to a steady glow, like the heartbeat of the planet itself. Elias sat on the cold stone floor, his back against a cracked pillar, holding Sarai as she leaned weakly against him. Her breathing was shallow, but she was alive. For now. "We did it," she whispered, her glowing eyes flickering. "The Creel. They are gone. For now." Elias nodded slowly, though he felt no relief. "Gone for now," he echoed. He looked out through the broken walls, toward the horizon. The sky was calm, but he knew better. The Creel Dominion would not accept defeat. They would return, and with more firepower than before. Sarai pressed her hand to the glowing heart. "The heart will defend the planet, but not forever. The Dominion will find a way. We need more help." Elias sighed. He had tried to keep humanity neutral, following the rules that explorers like him were taught. Humans did not interfere with developing worlds. That had been the law for centuries, but this was no ordinary world. This was Sarai's last hope, and now he understood something he had never known. Humanity had once been allies to her people, long ago, in a war now forgotten. "We need to call them," Sarai said softly. "Your people. They must remember the promise." Elias shook his head. "You know the risks. Human fleets don't intervene unless it's a huge threat. They might not come, or worse, they might not believe us." She looked at him with glowing eyes that shimmered with both hope and fear. "Then we risk nothing by asking. If they refuse, if they do not come, the Dominion will return, and then there will be no second chance." He swallowed hard. "All right." He staggered to his feet, the heart's energy humming against his body as if urging him forward. He activated his communicator and sent a coded message to the nearest human fleet. Distress signal. Alien ally, Creel threat, ancient technology discovered. Then he waited. Hours passed slowly. Sarai rested, leaning against the heart, whispering prayers in her language, words that Elias could not understand but felt in the air around him. Finally, the response came. Not from a single ship, but from an entire squadron. Human warships emerged from the upper atmosphere, their hulls gleaming. In the sunlight, lines of fighters streaked across the sky like silver arrows. Elias's heart leapt. The humans had answered. Sarai's hand tightened around his. "They remembered," she whispered, tears streaming down her face. They remembered the promise. The Creel, far above the planet, saw the fleet approaching. Their ships hovered for a moment, scanning the horizon, but the display of human firepower made even the Dominion hesitate. They had expected to return to an easy victory. Instead, the sky was filled with warships they had never seen before, armed with weapons that could obliterate them. Elias watched as Sarai's fear slowly transformed into hope. "Your people, humanity," she murmured. "Together, we can survive this." The Creel fleet fired first. Energy bolts streaked across the sky, but the human ships moved with precision. They intercepted, their shields flashing and their weapons returning fire. The Dominion was strong, but the humans were relentless. Each shot was calculated, each move precise. Elias ran along the ruins, pulling Sarai to safety as explosions shook the ground. The heart responded to the humans' presence, amplifying its energy in a protective shield over the planet. The Creel. Ships were forced back, unable to break through the combined defenses. From the heart of the ruins, Sarai raised her arms. Symbols from the walls floated into the air, glowing brighter than ever. The energy created barriers, traps, and channels that amplified the human weapon strikes. Together, Sarai and Elias guided the battle, a strange but powerful team of human technology and alien magic. Hours passed. By nightfall, the Creel fleet was in retreat. Fires burned across the surface of the planet, but the heart had minimized. Destruction, protecting the land and its few survivors. Elias and Sarai watched as the last of the Dominion ships disappeared into the dark sky, humiliated and defeated. Elias sank to the ground, exhausted. "They're gone," he said. "For now, at least." Sarai leaned against him, her glow fading slightly as she relaxed. "Your people, humans," she said softly. "They were magnificent. I thought no one would remember the old promise. But they came. They fought. Together we survived." Elias looked at her. "You're alive, thanks to them. And thanks to you. You guided the heart, saved the planet, and helped humanity see what's at stake." Her eyes shimmered, the glow, fading as her strength returned slowly. "And you chose to protect me. That choice changed everything." Elias smiled faintly, though weariness weighed on him. "Sometimes the right choice isn't the easy one." Sarai laughed softly, a sound like music in the quiet ruins. "You remind me of the humans of old, brave, stubborn, and compassionate when it matters most." Elias shook his head. "I'm not sure I'm all that heroic." "You are," she said firmly. "Without you, none of this would have been possible. I would have been lost. The heart might have been destroyed. The Dominion might have taken everything." The blue glow of the heart surrounded them like a warm breeze. Elias watched as the energy flowed through Sarai, restoring her strength. Though the battle was over for now, he knew the Creel Dominion would regroup. They were ruthless, and they would return in greater numbers. But humanity had arrived. Humans had remembered their promise from ages past. The galaxy had changed, and the Dominion would not easily forget the lesson learned today. Humans were not to be underestimated. Elias looked up at Sarai. "We've bought some time, but next time we need a plan before they arrive." She smiled. "Agreed. But for now, let us rest. Let the heart recover. Let us recover." Elias nodded. He felt a strange sense of peace, sitting beside the alien woman who had clung to him, in fear only days ago. Together, they had survived the Dominion. Together, they had reminded humanity of an ancient promise. And together, they would prepare for whatever came next. Above them, the human fleet lingered in orbit, a silent but powerful guardian. The stars seemed brighter, the galaxy wider, and the possibilities endless. Sarai looked at Elias, her eyes soft but determined. "You chose to help me," she said. "And because of that, everything changed. Humanity is no longer a bystander. We are partners now, and together, we can face the Dominion when they return." Elias nodded. He did not know what the future held. The Creel Dominion would not give up. But he knew one thing for certain. Humanity was no longer hidden. Humanity was no longer neutral. Humanity was awake and ready to fight for the galaxy. The Nai ruins were quiet again, bathed in the gentle glow of the heart. But Elias knew this peace would not last forever. He also knew that, with Sarai by his side and humans remembering the old promise, they could face whatever came next. The alien woman who had clung to him in tears now stood as a symbol of hope. And Elias, a simple human explorer, realized that one choice, one act of compassion, had changed the course of the galaxy forever. For the first time in his life, he understood the true meaning of courage. And he knew the real fight was only just beginning. The night sky above the planet shimmered with lights. Not stars, but the silver hulls of human warships, hovering in formation like guardians watching over the fragile world below. The ruins were calm now, the blue glow of the heart dim, but steady. Sarai rested beside Elias, her body finally strong enough to stand without trembling. Elias looked up at the fleet, awe and exhaustion in equal measure. "They came," he murmured. "All of them, just as you said." Sarai nodded, her glowing eyes softening. "Yes, they remembered. Humanity never forgot its promise. Even when all hope seemed lost, they came." Elias thought back to the first time she had clung to him, weeping and terrified. Back then he had no idea of the role she played, of the secret she carried. Now he understood. She was not just a survivor, she was a key to something ancient, powerful, and dangerous, and together they had used that key to turn the tide. Above, the Creel Dominion regrouped in orbit, their ships battered and smoking. The Dominion leader's voice rang through their comms, furious and disbelieving. "Retreat! Human forces, unexpected, overwhelming!" Elias smiled faintly. "They didn't expect us," he said. "They didn't know humans could fight. Like this." Sarai's hand touched his shoulder. "They never will forget it. The humans in orbit had not only saved the planet, they had sent a message across the galaxy. Humanity was awake. Humanity remembered its promise. Humanity was not to be underestimated." Elias turned back to the heart. The machine hummed softly now, its energy more stable. Sarai placed her hand on the central crystal, closing her eyes. The ruins responded, glowing faintly as if acknowledging her presence. "The heart is safe," she whispered. "For now. But the Dominion will return. And next time, they will not hesitate to destroy everything." Elias's jaw tightened. "Then we prepare. We won't wait for them to attack again. We'll be ready." Her eyes met his, a mixture of gratitude and determination. "You chose to help me, even when it was dangerous. You trusted humans to keep their promise. Because of you, everything changed." He shook his head, smiling faintly. "I didn't do it alone. You guided the heart. Together we stopped the Dominion. Humanity just needed the chance to act." Sarai's glow softened, her tears no longer of fear but relief. "The galaxy will remember this day," she said. "They will remember that humans are not just explorers. They are protectors, allies, friends." Elias looked at her and realized how far they had come. From the moment she had clung to him in desperation, from the first trembling sobs to this quiet victory, the bond between them had grown. They had shared fear, courage, and hope. And through it all, humanity had proven its strength, not through conquest but through honor, compassion, and the courage to stand against impossible odds. The human fleet began organizing for patrol. Fighters took off, scanning for any remaining. Creel ships. Larger warships moved into strategic positions, ready to defend the planet should the Dominion return. Elias climbed a broken pillar to get a better view. "They'll come back," he said softly. "And next time they'll bring more. But so will humanity." Sarai joined him, her glowing eyes reflecting the silver of the ships above. "Yes. And next time, we will not face them alone. This planet, the heart, and humans. Together, we are stronger than the Dominion could ever imagine." He smiled faintly, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. "Stronger. Yes. But we need more than strength. We need strategy, knowledge, and preparation. Otherwise, all this will be for nothing." Sarai nodded. "I will teach you everything my people knew. You will understand the heart. And with humans' technology, we can create a defense the Dominion cannot breach." Elias felt a spark of hope. The galaxy was vast, dangerous, and unpredictable, but for the first time he believed humanity could stand among the stars not just as explorers, but as guardians. The next morning, the survivors of Sarai's people emerged from hidden shelters scattered across the planet. They were few, fragile and scared, but alive. They approached cautiously, unsure of what to expect. When they saw Elias and Sarai together, standing in front of the glowing heart, something changed. Their expressions softened. They had lost everything, but now, for the first time in centuries, they saw hope. Sarai stepped forward, raising her hand in greeting. "Do not fear," she said in their native language. "We are safe, for now. And we are not alone." The humans remembered. They came. They fought with us. They honored the promise. Elias watched in quiet awe as the survivors approached, some kneeling, others placing hands on the ruins as if feeling the heart's power. They had survived centuries of terror, waiting for this moment, and now they were no longer alone. The Creel Dominion, far above in orbit, had already sent reports to their leaders. They would return, but the galaxy would be watching. And humanity's sudden and fierce intervention had stunned every civilization that had ever underestimated humans. Elias turned to Sarai. "You've carried the memory of your people for centuries. Now you can rebuild, and humanity will help." She smiled faintly. "Together, we can rebuild, and we will be ready for the Dominion's return." In the following weeks, humans worked alongside Sarai and the survivors to strengthen the ruins. They reinforced the heart, creating layers of defense and energy shields, and mapped the ancient corridors so that no enemy could surprise them again. Human engineers marveled at the technology, learning secrets that had been lost for centuries. Elias spent his time training with Sarai, learning the ways of the heart. The more he understood, the more he realized how much power the Dominion had, sought, and how humanity, united with allies like Sarai, could protect not just this planet, but the galaxy itself. One evening, as the twin moons rose over the ruins, Sarai and Elias stood side by side, looking out at the human fleet now anchored in orbit. "You were right," Elias said quietly. "This changes everything." She nodded, eyes glowing softly. "Yes, humans are not just explorers anymore. They are protectors, and the galaxy will never forget the day they arrived." Elias glanced at her. "Do you think the Dominion will ever truly learn?" Sarai's smile was faint, but confident. "They will never forget the humans, and when they return, they will remember fear." The blue glow of the heart reflected in their eyes, a symbol of hope, courage, and the bond between two very different peoples. The galaxy was vast and full of dangers, but humanity was awake, alert, and ready. And for the first time, Elias felt the weight of history in his chest. One choice, one act of compassion, had grown into a chain of events that would echo across the stars. The alien woman who had clung to him in tears had found safety. The survivors of her people had hope. And humans, once distant observers of the galaxy, had revealed their true power, courage, honor, and the will to fight for what was right. Elias smiled faintly, taking Sarai's hand. "The fight is far from over, but at least we're not standing alone." Sarai's eyes shone brighter. "No, never alone again." Above them, the human fleet gleamed like silver guardians. The stars stretched out endlessly beyond, full of dangers and wonders alike. And in that vast expanse, humanity had found its place, not just as explorers, but as defenders, allies, and heroes. For the Creel Dominion, the galaxy had changed forever. And for humanity, the universe would never underestimate them again. Elias took a deep breath, looking at Sarai and the heart. He realized that sometimes the smallest acts of courage could ripple across the stars. That one choice, one decision to protect someone in need, could change everything. And the galaxy would never forget the day humans stood up, fought with honor, and stunned every alien who thought they were just a fledgling species. The adventure was only beginning. But for now, there was hope. And hope, Elias knew, was more powerful than any weapon.